So it was one scratch for one sheep, two scratch for two sheeps, three scratches for three sheep. And the Roman numeral system would seem to give them ability to see everything they could talk or say, and they could say everything they could see. So there's a number of sheep out there, and eventually they could count them all. So this was a very interesting concept, that they were able to do all this mathematics in their world, but they never actually got to the concept of zero as a placeholder. So you could have MCMXXLV, something like that. I don't even know if that's legal. And try to add it to MC1 or MCII, whatever. And the net result is that you couldn't do arithmetic. It just didn't work. So what do you do about that? How do you get to algebra and calculus and Newton's laws and Einstein's theories from Roman numerals? And the answer is you can't get there. So I call that a missing nothing. They missed the concept of zero or nothing, and it kept them back, and kept Western civilization back for millennia. And so this one little missing nothing kept us from understanding things at the broader level. So the question becomes, what happens when it's today? Are there missing nothings today? Are there things that we don't understand, that we sense, but we don't have words for? We don't have the concepts. And these are nothings that appear to us. They're just the same thing as a zero was to the ancient Greeks. Zero was also an indicator of the void. And there was some sense of hubris that if a mortal started thinking about the void too much, they'd be stepping on the toes of the gods. So there's kind of a religious objection to it all, and that's something that needs to be dealt with also, so that coming up with a nothing may well be protected by mythological and superstition and religious and things that aren't really necessary part of the scientific realm and empiricism. So what do you do about that? How do you manage that? Well, that's my whole theory. So that what I've been working on these ideas called nothing is missing, and it couples with another concept I call everything to gain. And everything to gain talks about the abundances that we've had. Just in my lifetime, we've gone from telephones being very expensive, per minute charges on the phone that was wired into your house. Calling long distance was taboo for me as a kid, and to call Europe would have been, just unthinkably expensive. And who would ever spend that much money just to talk to somebody that far away when you could write a letter? Of course, mail was a postage, paper-based thing, and the Postal Service delivered the mail. Email came along, and suddenly mail was ubiquitous and abundant. Email, so you could send a message to anyone in the world very quickly, and you could also send documents and pictures and things like that. So email was a radical improvement to the postal mail, some would say. I have some insights into that. I was involved in the early days of electronic mail transfer, simple transfermatic, SMTP, and how that worked. And that'll be another session in my episodes here. Okay, so I'm going to finish up with this. This is just my first test shot and wondering how it all works. So let's see how it looks on the computer.